This is Preserving Our Time Online, the place where older generations have the opportunity to explain the past to the younger generations through the use of technology. Jump on in and go for a ride through history with us, and I promise you'll hear some things you won't find in any book. Today we have Mike Jones, who actually happens to be my father. I'm just going to let him talk about pretty much whatever he wants.
If I slip and say something naughty.
No, that's okay.
Well, the beginning, I was born in Pontiac, Michigan at St. Joseph's Hospital in 1951. Of course, I don't remember that. My first recollection in my life was a vague memory. I was sitting on a stairway in our apartment, maybe halfway or two-thirds down the stairway, and I can remember my uncle being there, my mom's brother, who just got back from Korea, if I remember right, and he was teaching me how to tie my shoes. Yeah, but I can remember just a little bit of that apartment. I remember more going back to visit those people that owned it because they were friends of my folks. But then we moved from there to the Crescent Lake area on Eldridge Street.
Why did you make the moves? Was it a financial thing?
My folks bought a house. So they had rented those first two places, and then they bought a house in Waterford Township, and that's where I started kindergarten. But we lived there probably, at least a year, maybe two, before I started school. And I remember a few things about that area. It was a small house, and I can remember my dad building an addition on. And I thought that was really cool. And of course, I'm just a little shaver. And I can remember walking out when they were pouring the cement. And I had some big boots on, knee boots. They were probably my mom's or something. And I can remember stepping in a footing.
Oh, I bet that
and going clear up as, they were 42-inch footings. And I probably style. And just one leg went in the footing. But I remember that.
So it's not like you just left a footprint. You left.
Oh no, it was still wet mud. So they just pulled me out and continued pouring and told me to stay out of it.
Yeah, you made a cast basically.
Well, yeah, but it was still wet. It was no big deal.
Yeah.
But I can remember a few things there, quite a few things. Like I said, I started school there in Waterford Township, and back then there was the elementary school, and there was a little store.
Did that have anything to do with Ford and being near the water?
No.
It was just happened to be...
Yeah, I don't know where the name came from. There was in a volunteer fire department. Now, when people talk about Waterford now, it's a whole metropolis, but back then it was just a place on M59 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
One thing I do remember about the school, though, there was a lady principal. I don't remember her name, but that was kind of unique.
Was it a Catholic school?
No, this was a public school.
Okay.
And I don't remember a whole lot about the school time there, a few things. I remember some of the kids in the neighborhood. You see, I was 5 years old by then, and I remember starting school, I just screamed and hollered, and there was a girl down the road, probably 5th or 6th grade, that kind of looked after me. But I don't know, I guess I was afraid to leave my mom.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was like when I was little.
Oh, yeah, definitely. About the same.
Yeah.
But we lived there for a while. One thing I do remember about that time in my life, of course, we only had one car, and my dad was working for a contractor in the area, and I can remember on the days that my mom had to have the car, she would take him to work, bundle us two little kids. I don't know if the third one was there yet, probably about that time, but I don't recall.
Yeah.
But what I do recall vividly, two things. Like I say, when my mom had the car, she'd take my dad to work, or we would, and then we'd go pick him up. And I always liked that because he had a panel truck that the contractor provided him to go to the job site with. And we would park at the end of the driveway going back to their place to wait for my dad to come home from work. And I always got a kick out of getting in that panel truck and riding back down the lane to their house or shop or whatever they had. I don't recall that. And it seemed like it was a really long driveway, and it was just a dirt two-track. It might have been 100 feet long for all I know, but I can remember enjoying riding in that panel truck.
What is a panel truck?
Oh, it's like a van.
Okay.
A pickup chassis, but it was enclosed. You could keep your tools and your work supplies and that right inside.
Okay.
And I can remember still, he had a hip roof toolbox that was heavy. And it always impressed me. He would carry that like it was nothing. And even when I was in my prime, like when I was 25, 30 years old, it was heavy for me to pick that toolbox up. And he carried it around, all the time. That's what he did. Lunchbox in one hand and toolbox in the other.